of these two decks, Lugia V-Star, Archeops, Mew VMAX, Genesect V, have been at the top of the meta since they've come out. Both decks very consistent at doing what they're supposed to do. Mew VMAX, draw cards with Genesect V, attach double turbo, maybe use that Alessa Sparkle to charge up Meloetta, get some knockouts. Meanwhile, Lugia V-Star, all about getting those Archeops in the discard and using that Summoning Star to bring them out. From there, Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see that these two players are bringing the less popular variant of the deck that we have been seeing as of late. Vance is playing the Fusion build, which lost a little bit of popularity. As of late, it did win the previous regional at Lille, but the Fusion build doesn't have as much disruption, and your plan against the Dark-type attackers that Sam is bringing, the Yveltal and the Tyranitar V, you really need to disrupt and try to delay the Arceus from coming into play as much as possible, which Vance doesn't have too many tools to accomplish that, so he's going to have to rely on Meloetta and the Deoxys to try and tank some hits as we advance in the game.
It does look like there is at least a couple Paths of the Peak in the list for Vance, so has some game against that Summoning Star from that Lugia V-Star, but it's all going to be about those prize trades and being able to map out your prizes for the rest of the game. But here we go. It's looking like Sam Chen is going to start off round 5 here in Toronto, Canada.
Going first is really, really big here in this matchup, especially as Sam just started with a single prize Pokemon. He doesn't necessarily know whether Vance is playing the Fusion build or not, but starting with the single prize Pokemon is useful. And Sam, if he's worried about the Fusion build, he'll try to bench at least Lugia and something else to protect from a possible escape rope play plus Meloetta turn 1 knockout. If Sam stabilizes, he definitely has the right tools for this matchup.
Starting off with a Nest Ball is going to be pretty good here. We'll be able to search the deck, grab that Lugia V, and figure out those prize cards for the next couple of turns. The hand looking not too bad. You got Tyranitar V, a Capturing Aroma to go with it.
Yeah.
Is there a supporter for the next turn?
There is an Iono, and there is a Capturing Aroma, right?
Okay.
Capturing Aroma is a card that has been discussed a lot ever since rotation. It's been one of Lugia's staples. In this situation, Sam is actually, I think, rooting for a Tails next turn. That way he can go grab Luminion to play Professor Burnett. Otherwise, off of an Iono, it's going to be really difficult to get 2 Arceus in the discard pile and evolve and start powering up. So getting Lugia out is a bare minimum that Sam wants to do, but now he's going to rely on a coin flip to accomplish his next mission.
Again, just taking the chance here to check, see what's prized. A lot of cards in this matchup are very important, like that Tyranitar V, like that Yveltal that's in the active spot. At least you know those aren't prized. Single strike energies are going to be probably the next search.
Yeah, no, being very aware of how many energies you have in your deck, Jeremy, as you mentioned, is very, very key for the matchup so that you don't go Primal Turbo onto my Tyranitar and all of a sudden you cannot get an attack off, right? So being aware of what resources you have, the V-Guards, the gift energies, and how you manage them is very, very key.
And getting that second bench Pokemon down in that Tyranitar V is going to help against something like an Escape Rope, one of the few ways Vance is able to take a knockout on something on the bench without playing a supporter. Now with Vance's turn, drew a Battle VIP pass. So we'll at least be able to start things off there. Otherwise, has the Alessa Sparkle, has the Iono.
Yeah, so we could see Firecrackers already from Vance. We could see a turn 1 KO, which is impactful, but if Sam follows that up with only 2 prize Pokemon, this knockout on the Yveltal is important, right? Because Yveltal is a huge threat to Mew VMAX, but it's not the KO you really want to accomplish when you're in this really close price race that you head into with Lugia. And if you're doing Meloetta and the Alessa Sparkle, then that means you're not Judge Pathing, right?
Yeah.
Which is also very strong. It's actually your favorite combination. So
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of that.
Some Judge Path for sure. Only 1 copy of Judge in the list to go along with that Iono that's already in hand. But Vance taking a look now, has all the Pokemon sorted through. You already got your energies. You know what's up. What do you think? Meloetta, Genesect? You already have the Alessa Sparkle. Can you thin the hand down enough with just 1 Genesect in play?
I mean, probably not. Not from what I could tell that he has. Or if you do, it's a little costly, like getting rid of a switch card, which could serve later down the line. And yeah, I like the Deoxys better than the Meloetta. If he's able to take a KO with Deoxys on the Yveltal, then that means there's a lot more room to use the Meloetta later down the line so that you don't have to attack with a Mew VMAX, for example, into a Lugia or a Tyranitar, and then the other Tyranitar just takes 3 prizes in revenge.
All right, this hand is a lot better with that 4 Sealstone being attached to that Genesect V. Vance go ahead and uses that Star Alchemy to find that Battle VIP pass, the second one of this turn. And now we'll be able to draw quite a few more cards with Fusion Strike system.
Yeah, the second Battle VIP pass will definitely give Vance a much more stable setup. However, it does come at the cost of the V-Star, and that can be problematic in the sense that later down the line you're looking for very specific card combinations, and it could prove to be difficult to find the right card at the right time. But seems like we're definitely going to see some aggression here from Vance.
Alessa Sparkle is a supporter. You choose 2 of your Fusion Strike Pokemon and then search your deck, attach a Fusion Strike energy to each of those, and it's going to power up halfway the Meloetta and that Deoxys, now only needing another energy for the Meloetta or that double turbo energy for Deoxys. Vance hoping for that double turbo here.
Yeah, definitely you would prefer to go in with the Deoxys, assuming the worst, right? Assuming the worst, which is Sam will be able to somehow discard the 2 Pokemon and be able to set up a Lugia V-Star. Sam did not do much during their first turn, so if Vance finds a path to the peak here, that could actually be very powerful.
Yeah, usually in these Lugia lists, you find a Pumpkaboo with its Pumpkin Pit to discard a Stadium through something like your Pokemon Search, capturing Aroma, Ultra Ball. No such card here for Sam's list, is opting for that Dunsparce instead to try to combat them right on in the field.
Now, very interesting to see how Vance is opting to only have 1 Mew V in play. That means that he's really going to focus on the Deoxys and the Meloetta to lead things off and then finish things off with a Mew VMAX. But as long as he doesn't evolve into a Mew VMAX, he can definitely have a little bit more control on the prize exchange in this matchup, which is very, very crucial. And there's a path to peak, I see.
Path to the peak, Ultra Ball to help thin down a little bit more. You got that 3rd Forest Seal Stone. You can attach that to a Pokemon or just use the discard with this Ultra Ball. Power Tablet to go along with it. You don't really need that right now. Better save those for taking a knockout on that Tyranitar V later on. Discards the Path to the Peak along with the Iono, though.
Yeah, interesting choices there. I think Vance is really valuing the aggression here. The other Forest Seal Stone is a card you can play down. The Power Tablet, even though it's not necessary to accomplish the KO, it's still worth it to potentially maximize your draw. And there's a very thin line between balancing your resources in your hand and also expending some of them to have enough reach into the deck to maximize your chances of hitting the right card. All those resources saved for a late game won't be good enough if your early game isn't strong at all.
All right, so hear me out. There is also a route where Vance just tries to find the 1 escape rope in the deck. Be able to take a knockout with Meloetta and a Power Tablet here. It's going to depend on if he decides to play this Power Tablet before drawing. Oh, and the second Path to the Peak is in hand anyway.
Yeah, second path definitely makes the first discard quite manageable. We do see the Power Tablet. So yes, Escape Rope plus Power Tablet KO on Titar, no, not a bad thing. Double Turbo to KO the Yveltal, never a bad thing. And we see Sam immediately reacting. And like I said, Vance has not said a single word, but Sam is very emotional, very quite the character to have on stream here.
Sam's turn now after that knockout. He does have a Collapsed Stadium in hand, so he can bump that Path to the Peak if he chooses to.
Yep.
It is all going to be on this Capturing Aroma flip. Like you were saying, Tails opens up everything.
Now, Sam hesitating a little bit on the evolution. Maybe the Burnett is priced? I don't think it is. No, it's definitely not priced. And there we see the coin flip. What's heads would be atrocious, which is really weird to say.
Tails searching for basic now. Did prize a Luminion V, so this is going to be the only one to be able to access for now until we start taking some prizes, but it is towards the bottom.
Indeed, and now we're seeing Sam rearrange all the cards that he knows he's going to grab. Now, I really hope, that he plays the Stadium before he benches the Luminion. He's just showing it. Very properly done. Very nice. I'm not going to lie, I've done that many, many times where I just get so excited that I forget to do one simple step, which was the most crucial one.
Well, that's why you're here now, behind the booth.
Ouch.
Collapse Stadium does get rid of a Genesect V on Vance Kelley's side of things, and there's that Luminion Luminous sign. Favorite play of every Lugia V-Star player. Grab that Professor's Burnett and get those Archeops in the discard. Sam already has that Lugia V-Star in hand like we saw, so it's just a matter of time getting those energies ready and prepared.
Yeah, so Sam just making sure that he's going to attach the right energies to the right Pokemon. The V-Guard is very crucial in order to protect from a Mew VMAX retaliating on the KO on the Lugia V-Star. However, the Meloetta is, I think, the bigger threat right now. However, with one Fusion Energy going down on this Deoxys, it's going to be really hard for Vance to get a return KO on the Lugia V-Star.
Well, there's the double turbo and a V-Guard energy, and then that gift energy to go along with it. Gift energy has been such a great addition for these Lugia decks.
All right, so gift energy, as you mentioned, very, very important to protect. And I mean, if you see fusion builds, you don't expect a lot of disruption. You already see an Iono in the discard pile and the pile pad being played, so there might be a Judge left, maybe a second Iono. But I think if you're Sam and you manage to set up, it's gonna, like, you're feeling pretty good from this position.
Especially going first, you did have to survive that turn one knockout from Vance there. But like you said, this is looking pretty good. Down the Yveltal, so you won't be able to sneak in that single prize trade. But you kind of already did.
Indeed, it does look, honestly, like a pretty even matchup right now. Sam did have the chance to get rid of the Collapse Stadium at this point in time. Of course, he chose not to. Limiting Mew's Venge is very key. It makes them draw less cards overall, which is always going to be a good thing. And now, the difficult thing here, I think, for Vance is have enough resources to attack 3 more times before Sam can knock out some of your Pokemon. And the big issue being the Tyranitar. Anytime you get that Mew VMAX in play, it's pretty much immediately going to go down. And Meloetta might not be able to reach for a KO on this Lugia. And neither the Mew VMAX. So do you go for a boss play? It's going to be hard.
Tails off that Cramomatic, discarding an Ultra Ball here. Vance does have a Fusion Strike energy in hand, but with one already being taken out, thanks to that Lugia V-Star, you're going to limit your damage the later the game goes, especially with that Meloetta if it gets knocked out. Going to start things off with the Fusion Strike system here. Draw up to 5.
Now, we did see the attachment from Vance, and it was a Fusion Energy that he got off the prize cards, I believe. Therefore, there is another energy available, and he would require, in order to get this KO with Meloetta, the other energy, the Alessa Sparkle, and double power tablets, and a choice belt or triple power tablets. And those Cramomatics are certainly not helping his case.
Yeah, double Tails this turn off Cramomatic. You'd have to think with just the 2 Fusion Strike energies, do you go for the Archeops? Boss's orders Archeops, take the knockout, and just kind of play that game, make it so it's harder to charge up that Tyranitar?
Yeah, if you have that opportunity, that's a good backup plan for sure. That makes it so that powering up the Tyranitar in one go, as you mentioned, is increasingly difficult. And maybe if Sam doesn't preemptively power up the Tyranitar after losing an Archeops the next turn, you can knock out the Archeops, and then powering up anything becomes impossible, right? So both players definitely have different paths to victory, but Sam in a more commanding position thanks to a Tails flip, right? How often do we see that? A Tails flip is the reason Sam was able to set up.
Such an awkward draw off this last Fusion Strike system for Vance. Drew Alessa Sparkle and the last Fusion Strike energy, so scoops it up.
Yeah.
Sees no route to victory here and wants to save the time for Game 2 and potentially Game 3.
Ever since rotation, first time we're seeing games being won so decisively by Tails flips. That's super, super cool to see. Shows how the dynamics of the Pokemon trading card game are very interesting, and how, even though it seems like capturing Aroma is a variance-inducing card, sometimes the result doesn't matter. Sometimes it matters so much, right? However, you definitely have some control over, and there's nothing saying that if Sam had flipped heads and then played Iono, he wouldn't have been able to set up. It's just the tail flip made it immediate.
Yeah, it is something that's crazy, and I think we saw Capturing Aroma right before the rotation make a squeak into a top 8 with one copy in a Lugia list, just additional Pokemon search. But now it has become a staple because we're just limited on the amount of cards that can be able to search for that Lumineon V and still use that Luminescine ability.
Indeed, and now on the other side of the table, we saw Vance have a very explosive start, a little awkward with the resources needed to be discarded and played in order to accomplish that first turn KO, then got the worst response ever, and then the double tail flip for Vance was also very important, right, and very impactful. So tail flips dictating what happened in game 1.
Tails never fails, unless you're Vance.
Tails never fails except sometimes, right?
60% of the time, it works every time.
All right. So in this game too, I think as Vance, you choose to go first. I don't think you would ever choose to go second in this matchup. You, of course, want the early aggression, but if you get a first turn, and then on your second turn, you have a lot more wiggle room for attacking with VMAX or Meloetta. If you go second, it's Meloetta or Meloetta, and that's much harder to pull off most of the time.
Looks like a mulligan from Sam there. Vance has that Pokemon in the active, place the prizes out. And it is very interesting. A lot of the times, most of the time in Pokemon TCG, you want to go first. You want to evolve first. You want to be able to get that big attack off first. But here we were, Vance going second, finding that attack, but Sam flipping that coin, or rolling the dice. You know?
Rolling the dice, and that 3 being so crucial. Would have been a completely different game if Sam rolls heads there. Well, maybe not completely, but
wow.
Definitely. Oh, wow.
All right, 3 Power Tablet, 2 Forest Seal Stone, and a Boss's Orders in the prize cards for Vance. And Sam's not that good either. Lumineon V yet again, earn in there. It is going to be a little awkward for both of these players.
Wow. Triple Power Tablet prize. At least he has a Battle VIP pass, right? So he will be able to get going a little bit. But yeah, definitely awkward pricing. It seems like awkward hand for Sam.
Very awkward. It looks like a bunch of energy and nothing else you can do. Meanwhile, Vance does have that Battle VIP pass yet again to start things off. So that is the card that Mew wants to see every single turn 1.
Now, I think both of these decks are very aggressive and are rule box based decks. Therefore, should have enough time to, if this game ends up being a little short, plenty of time to complete our series. Now, Vance obviously doesn't know that Sam is probably going to go attach pass, which is really bad. So he's being very thorough with his note-taking and everything, which is very important, right? Note-taking, I think, is a very underrated skill in the Pokemon trading card game.
Yeah, you need to know how to write. That's step 1.
Step 1, yeah.
Step 2, you need to know how to see and read your cards and see what you need.
True. Yep, indeed.
So a lot of the times, it's just a big frowny face. You see 3 Power Tablets in the prize cards.
Yeah, that would be how I would represent my Power Tablets. Yeah, I don't even think you check for Power Tablets with your first deck search. That would never. You just assume there's at least some around there. And I think the way they were positioned, like 3 Power Tablets at the bottom and then the 2 Forest Seal Stones, that also means that Vance only has access to 1 Forest Seal Stone left over, which might make it a little difficult to find that right card at the right time, right? Usually you end up drawing into a couple, and then you save them, and then the boss, right? That last prize boss could come into play if this game goes on for a long time.
Ultra Ball discards a Mew V and that Mew V Max here. Maybe finding one of those single prizers. Nope, gonna go with the Genesect V, so 3 of those in play as of now. There's another Mew V and another Mew V Max in hand. What a weird hand for Vance here. Still able to do a lot more than Sam, though.
Definitely very weird. I mean, if you're Vance at this stage in time, there's 2 paths you can go through in this match. Yeah, you can be aggressive with the Meloetta if you go second, or if Vance could decide to try to go for Judge Path this time around. Yeah, and that's how I was able to beat all the single strike Lugias at EUIC. Right after rotation with Mew, all I did was Judge Path. So that's a very good strategy against Lugia in particular, because they need so many different pieces and they rely so much on basic Pokemon abilities.
And again, awkward draw here. 3 Cramomatic and an Ultra Ball in hand. Vance discards 2 of those for the Ultra Ball. Values finding another Pokemon here, so you get a little more cards off each Fusion Strike system. Sam rolling the dice, seeing what would have happened.
All right, so we are going to see the Meloetta as opposed to the 3rd Mew or the 4th Genesect. We know all of them were available, none of them were priced, so Vance going to try and have that 3-1-3 price disparity to try and make it more difficult for Sam. And if Sam, assuming he's able to set up, tries to use Evoltal to skew the price trade in his favor, then Vance can take that down with Meloetta rather than exposing a Mew VMAX in the active spot.
All right, let's see if Vance can thin this hand down a little bit more to try to find the path to the peak needed. I see a switch cart, but I think that's the only card you can really thin out of this hand. Has a Lost Vacuum and a few supporters. You might just see a pass of the turn.
Yeah, pass I think would be fine. Definitely has playability for next turn. I think he would love to find maybe the path to the peak, since I think I saw a Lost Vacuum as well. But you also need other pieces next turn, right? So that's not necessarily, you don't always have to play down all the cards in your hand just because you have to. However, discarding the Lost Vacuum instead of the switch card, so I'm generally not sure what else you're missing at this stage.
Well, with the heads on the Cramomatic now, Vance will be able to find any card in the deck. And, oh, okay. Opting for the town store, it seems like. It's a stadium that allows you to search for a Pokemon tool from your deck, put it in your hand. I think we're going to go get 4 Sealstone.
Okay, I actually like that. I mean, obviously, Chromatic can search for any card, right? So can Power Tablet, but this way, whatever you're missing, you can go fetch. Now, seems like Vance will choose the Choice Belt instead of the 4 Sealstone. I'd be very surprised if that was the case. Yeah, 4 Sealstone, you know, on average, Lugia will never be able to get rid of your tool card, so that 4 Sealstone gives all the flexibility in the world for Vance to be able to do whatever he wants. Judge Path next turn, you got it. Missing the Mew Max, you got it. So searching for a card that searches for a card feels a little redundant, but this also opens room for another Genesect use this turn.
Yeah, you're also thinning the deck out a little bit more each time you do it. So really just trying to maximize the possibility to draw into the 1 Power Tablet, search for that Choice Belt. And here we see the switch cart even being burned, bringing up that Mew V on the bench, and we're going to draw 3 more cards off this last Fusion Strike system. What a turn 1 from Vance.
Indeed, so many actions, and I think it's going to be very underwhelming that such a thorough turn, such a calculated sequencing and decision-making, and then odds are we're going to see Sam go draw pass, your go.
No, we'll see a town store search.
We might.
Hopefully,
we might.
you know. Oh, no.
The
V-Guard energy is pretty good, though. Maybe you can stick around for 1 more turn. We know that Choice Belt's in hand for Vance. Has a Power Tablet already. Might not be enough.
There's the town store search that he just mentioned. Even though Lugia doesn't play any tool cards, you can always utilize it to get information on your deck. Now, Sam also was holding the stadium, the collapse stadium. He thought about playing that first, and then putting Vance in like a decision of like, oh my gosh, why is he playing this? If Sam was able to somehow survive with the other collapse stadium being priced, then that would leave him very few outs to counter a potential path to a peak, right? So if you're trying to maximize your chances of survivability and being able to set up, I think you want to hold on to that collapse stadium.
And the rough part here, too, is Sam's Lugia V-Star deck will not be able to get a Lugia V in play on his turn 1, and that sets you back so far. The whole goal is to use that Summoning Star on turn 2, and when you don't have that Lugia V to evolve into that Lugia V-Star, we're probably going to go to the game 3.
Indeed. As Lugia, you have two jobs. Yeah, on turn 1, you need to go turn 1 Lugia. On turn 2, you need to discard Archeops, turn 2 Lugia V-Star. Right now, Sam not accomplishing the basic thing. Now, this boss could prove problematic for Vance since he did use a switch card with no real purpose last turn other than drawing cards. But with all the other double turbo energy available, with the escape rope available, I think Vance will be fine.
V-Guard energy on that Tyranitar V and a pass of the turn after that boss's orders bringing up the Genesect. Vance has the Choice Belt Power Tablet in hand, I believe.
Indeed has.
That's not going to be enough, though, even with that, right?
It's 250 minus 30, 220. No, so Vance does need 3 damage modifiers to KO with Mew VMAX, or needs to get an attack off with Meloetta. Either way, he can do that. It's definitely, his hand is definitely not very conducive to that, though. Not a lot of cards you can burn through. And if you play the Alessa Sparkle, you do thin the deck, but you'll still need the switching card. So awkward-ish situation for Vance here, and he's just trying to make sure he sequences everything correctly to maximize his chances.
Well, you do need to play the Alessa Sparkle to get an attack off with Meloetta to take that knockout, because with 3 Fusion Strike energy in play and that Power Tablet, you're able to take the knockout on that Tyranitar V, gets around that V-Guard energy. So Vance has it as long as he draws a way to get out of the active and another Fusion Strike energy.
Indeed, and now Vance is holding that last Power Tablet. The other 3 are prized, but that's pretty key. And now Vance has one of the pieces guaranteed with the Force Seal Stone. So as he uses Genesect, if he draws the switching card, he can search for the energy. If he draws the energy, he can search for a switching card. Although he goes ahead and uses the V-Star first. I am genuinely surprised by that.
Yeah, it is a little awkward to see, but opting for the Lost Vacuum here, maybe as a way to get the collapsed stadium out so you can draw some more cards. But usually in this situation, you do, like you were saying, draw cards and then be able to force Seal Stone for the card you're missing.
Yeah, now I can't see all of Vance's cards fully. I think we're going to see him play the Path to a Peak and then no. Is he? Okay. Really valuing that Path to a Peak. I was sure he was going to play that, then remove it, clear out his hand, and just go for the win from there. But it seems like he's really valuing keeping that Path to a Peak. I guess in case you aren't able to manage this, then being conservative with your path to have that be the last thing you do on your turn could be important.
Well, here is the first Fusion Strike system for 4. Needs to find energy and a way to get out of the active. It seems like Battle VIP Pass, Alessa Sparkle, Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball will be able to thin the hand down a little bit, but only 1 more Fusion Strike system for Vance this turn.
Indeed, odds are not very good for Vance to hit here, I think. Also because since he needs to draw Fusion Energy and he just got 2 out of the deck with Alessa Sparkle, that immediately only leaves half of them available. So, I mean, I understand why you want to play it a little bit safe by not playing down that path and then sending it to a Lost Zone. I personally would have gone all out because worst comes to worst and you whiff, Sam doesn't have anything at all. So yeah, you'll definitely have at least another turn and then maybe they'll bench the Lugia. But you know your opponent doesn't have any Nest Balls, any Ultra Balls, any supporter cards. So I fancy my chances if I'm in that spot. I would have played it a lot riskier here.
Well, Vance does find the last Fusion Strike energy. But is there a way to get out of the active? It doesn't seem like it. Sam was just, please have the switch, please. Because we could also just see the same exact turn from Sam.
Yeah.
Draws Professor's Research here. Okay.
And didn't even play the path to end the turn. I am very confused at that turn of events. But yeah, now with the Research, I mean, Sam's decision is which energy he attaches, right? But now Sam has a chance. Not to say that Vance would have hit exactly what he needed, but I think he had a few more cards in him. And now with 3 Power Tablets prized, it's going to be really hard to knock out those Tyranitars.
Nest Ball and Mezagoza to go along with an Ultra Ball. So Sam has some opportunity to get Lugia V down in play and fade something like a Boss's Orders, Escape Rope. Going to need at least 1 more.
Now, if Sam did his prize check correctly, he will know that there's a collapsed stadium in play. I mean, in the prizes. 1 has been Lost Zone. That leaves 2 stadiums. I don't think, as Sam, you can risk the Mezagoza here. If you play that down and it gets countered by a Path to a Peak, then you are in a lot of trouble. Because it doesn't matter if you aren't dead drawing, if you can't ever get those Archeops into play. And maybe Vance had that in the back of his mind, in case he whiffed, right? There was another copy of Path to the Peak that he could have eventually found at that point.
Well, Ultra Ball does discard Professor's Research and that Urn of Vitality. It's important to note there's already an Urn in the prize cards. A Single Strike Energy was discarded this turn from the Professor's Research, but there is that second Lugia V on the bench for Sam now. And yeah, I think we're going to have him hold the Mezagoza. Even Sam was like, yeah, you have Path. Might as well pass the turn back. And Vance lost a lot of steam from that last two turns, not really being able to get that attack off, but plenty of energy in play.
Indeed, he had a wonderful turn one and then a very underwhelming turn two. And I honestly think it was a little bit because he overdid it with the resources. That Chromatic, that burning of the switch card. Imagine if he had that, yeah, and he didn't find anything too significant off of that last draw for three. So that's something that I would love to ask him about in the interview if that happened. Now we're going to see the choice belt, but like we mentioned, there's no more power tablets left. So there's no way to knock out this Tyranitar with Mew VMAX, or now that the choice belt has been committed to the Mew VMAX with Meloetta, unless you find the fourth energy.
Well, there's the PAL pad shuffling back the boss's orders that was just played for Vance, just to thin the hand down a little bit. Remember, 2 Fusion Strike systems available to him, no V-Star available for this game. Going to be drawing 3 cards. I don't think you can burn the rest of the cards in that hand.
Yeah, very underwhelming amount of cards here. Only 2 Genesect as well, which is not your ideal, and that Deoxys is not what you want to see here.
I guess there's a lost vacuum. You can get rid of that Deoxys and get rid of the 4 Seal Stone that you don't need anymore.
Yep. So very awkward that Vance priced 3 power tablets and 2 4 Seal Stones and was able to find them in the beginning, right? But they just haven't been able to get him there, and there's only 1 copy. There's 2 copies of Switch Card, 1 copy of Escape Rope, so 1 copy of Switch Card left in the deck available to him. Also a double turbo to potentially retreat, but he's just not really getting there. Oh, there's the double turbo.
Yeah, and the switch card as well. So it was a pretty great 3 cards, 4 cards for this last Fusion Strike system for Vance here. We'll be able to have the knockout thanks to that choice belt on Mew VMAX, but also has the 4th Fusion Strike energy. Better to save that for the next few turns. Keep those safe on the bench. And there we see that Path to the Peak. So pretty great turn 3 here from Vance. You would have loved to see it turn 2.
Indeed, pretty great turn 3. And this means we play a standard game, right? After Sam went draw pass, now there's a chance for Sam to get back into this. Vance also stabilized, has gone through quite a few things, but he did just pick up 2 power tablets, which could be useful if he needs to return KO a Lugia Vista or something. But once again, we have
big
a flip.
Oh, wow. Okay. Heads on the Mezagoza. This will allow Sam to grab Lugia V-Star. From there, I believe the Professor Burnett is in hand.
Indeed.
And Sam has a knockout. Single Strike energy in hand. There's at least a couple more in the deck. We're going to have a game 2 here, Pablo. We thought it was over and done with. But 2 turns of Vance not really doing much, getting stuff set up. Not able to take the KO on that lone Tyranitar V.
Indeed. Now, Vance does have a pretty decent play in terms of knocking out Tyranitar and knocking out Lugia, right? You accomplish that, you win the game. You're at 4 prizes. However, you will have to use either the Mew with the Fusion Strike energies or the Meloetta to do that, and that means they're going down, right? And so getting that last KO for Vance could prove to be very, very difficult. And then over on Sam's side, he still has Yveltal. Yeah, that Pokemon can mess with Vance's prize straight and prevent him from going 2-2-2. So we'll have to see how this works out.
V-Guard on the Lugia V-Star could be helpful against the Mew VMAX from attacking with that Melodious Echo. I think Sam's doing some math right here. You have that Single Strike energy in hand to attach for the turn. You can find the other one with these Primal Turbos as well. And then we do know there's an Iono in the hand for next turn.
Yeah, and you have your own Iono protection with your own gift energy, so Sam might run away with this game just based on Vance whiffing on that second turn. So, and once again, coin flip being really, really huge for Sam Chen here.
Well, I mean, this game's all about coin flips. Flipping the coin to see who goes first, and then that tails on that catching room at game 1. Now the heads on the Mezagoza this game 2. Sam fully set up now, and going to see a big knockout on this Mew VMAX thanks to Single Strike Crush.
Single Strike Crush will crush Sam's deck a little bit, but at this point, it's a risk you take. Whatever Sam discards is not as impactful unless, yes, exactly. That second Tyranitar is actually huge.
That means Yveltal is the only hope to go forward here to take a knockout on something like a Mew VMAX. Vance, meanwhile, has that Mew V in the active for that free retreat. You got those 4 Fusion Strike energy in play, so Melodious Echoes doing 280 damage at least. And with a couple of prize cards taken, Vance was able to find those 2 power tablets.
Indeed, those 2 power tablets could prove handy eventually. However, right now, you're hitting for 280, right? Or with either Mew VMAX or Meloida. I think the big thing is that Tyranitar V that got discarded. That might be something that allows Vance to maybe lean into Mew VMAX this turn and take the risk. However, we see the boss play knockout on the Lugia V-Star to really get full value of those 4 Fusion Strike energies that he has in play.
And you're able to move around that V-Guard energy as well and save those power tablets to try and take the KO on that Tyranitar with the Mew VMAX the following turn.
Indeed. Now, we're about to see this Meloida take down the Lugia. And then what happens? We need Sam rather, needs to knock out that Meloida probably with an Archeops or a single prize Pokemon. If he just knocks out with Tyranitar, that means Vance, all he needs to do is find those power tablets and Mew VMAX, and it's game over. If you attack with a single prizer, it's the same cards along with a boss's orders, which is the more difficult card to find, especially when one is in your prize cards, one of the 2 that you play.
Now Vance did play one early and Pal patted it back into the deck.
Yep.
And the deck is very thin for Vance. Should be able to draw through the entire thing if he chooses to. There's the gift energy draw for Sam. You draw before you promote your Pokemon. Pretty useful there. Get a little more information.
Indeed. Very, very useful. Now, Sam will have to make this crucial decision of, do you attack with Archeops? Do you attack with Yveltal perhaps? Attacking with Tyranitar feels like a mistake to me, though. Unless maybe you go boss KO the Mew with the energies, because then double power tablet doesn't get Vance the KO, and he will need all 3 power tablets. That might be Sam's play. However, the only way to do that is through Luminion for boss, and then now there's a 2 prize liability.
Yep. Tails off the Mezagoza. Here's the Capturing Aroma. There's a head, so an evolution for Sam, not really going to be beneficial here. Was really hoping for a Tails on this one to try to find that Yveltal.
If Yveltal is your plan, though, why promote the T-Tar? That's my oh, okay. All right.
Get the single strike energies.
Indeed, get the single strike energies. Yep, you beat me to it. Maybe Sam is just thinking too far ahead for me. And he is holding the urn. He is holding the urn. So I've got it all this wrong. I've got all this wrong.
But unfortunately, just the coin flips now for Sam, not really going his way. Archeops found off that Capturing Aroma. Another Capturing Aroma in hand. All right, this could be another very big flip for Sam. Tails. Wow. Yveltal is going to be the card of choice, most likely.
Could it be Stonejourner?
Stonejourner,
good enough. Meloida does have resistance, but it does cost... No, it costs the same, yeah. Yveltal's the card to go for here, yeah.
And then again, you just need to make sure you have enough energies to close out the game if you're Sam Chen here, and hope that Vance doesn't have that boss's orders.
I am a little bit surprised, though. Like, what's the difference between Archeops and Yveltal at this point, though? You have enough energy, unless you don't have enough energies for Archeops, and that's what we're going to see. Yeah, so I guess Sam valuing putting the energies back this turn so that you have the flexibility to attach them next turn. Maybe that's the overall game plan, which makes a lot of sense. If you're not going to be able to boss this turn, and you are already holding the boss, then that makes sense. Whoever they boss, you use the other one to take the knockout. They can't boss and attack your hand, though, so what was wrong with keeping the energies on the T-Tar? And they're the... what?
I think we're seeing Sam kind of switch routes mid-turn. There's that third single strike energy on the Tyranitar.
So, like, if there's a boss KO Tyranitar, the game's over,
yeah.
right? So why not just leave it there on the bench and then just use Arceus to attack? I don't know. A lot of, like I said, we'll have to ask him in the interview, I guess. That'll be Juancho's job.
And then we still have not yet seen a supporter, so there's an Iono going to put both players' hands down quite a few cards. Sam getting 3, Vance getting 2 based on their prize cards.
Iono feels so underwhelming against Mew, though, doesn't it? Like, you know them, they're like, okay, just redraw everything, no problem.
And because of that, I think with Vance, I don't think he had the boss's orders in hand. There's a very good opportunity that he's going to draw it off these Fusion Strike systems. Needs Mew VMAX and some power tablets to take the knockout, but we'll have to see how things go. It's now Vance's turn, tied 2-2 prize cards.
Very good draws for Vance. The Box of Disaster, the Escape Rope, and the Feather Ball. All 3 cards which you can play down. All 3 cards which are irrelevant to your current plan, other than finding the Mew VMAX, which is fantastic.
I was about to say, Feather Ball's very good in this position.
Yes. I was getting a little bit ahead of myself. I was meaning, like, you can play all these cards. They help you. They thin the hand and the deck. And now all you need is Boss's Orders plus Power Tablets. That second Boss's Orders in the prices, though, could be what determines and gives us the result of this game.
All right, Mezagoza, Tails. Featherball will be able to shuffle the deck as well, so all the power tablets that were put on the bottom now can get shuffled in. But yeah, there's like 8 cards in the deck. You're going to be able to draw through this entire thing. Do we see the boss's orders? Yep, the boss's orders in there are a little more than 8.
So, is there a boss's orders? Because he did boss KO the Lugia and then put it back.
Yeah.
Right? In the beginning. And then he did boss's orders again on the Lugia V-Star. So there's no boss's orders. Vance concedes, indeed. There's no boss's orders. And Tyranitar will just knock everything out. Yeah.
Able to pull it out from the brink of disaster.
Yeah, Vance needed to get the boss's orders out of the deck, or needed Sam to attack with Tyranitar V. Sam did a merry-go-round with all his Pokemon on his turn in order to not attack with Tyranitar, but that boss orders. And I swear I thought of that, but I wasn't 100% sure because of the Palpat. But yeah, no boss's orders for Vance available to close out that game.
Wow. Our world champion taken down by one of the veterans of this game, Sam Chen. That was one of the worst hands I've seen a Lugia player have in a while.
Yep.
Then Professor's Research off the top of the deck on turn 2? Turn 3? Turn 2.
Turn 2, yeah. Turn 2.
Insane. Lugia doing Lugia things, you know?
Lugia doing Lugia things. I really think Vance should have gone all out on that turn 2. I think it was a big missed opportunity not to play down that path, not to, you already committed the Force Field Stone, play that path, get rid of it, draw a couple extra cards with your Genesect. I really think he could have gone a little bit harder on that second turn, or a little bit more conservative on the first turn. That burn off the switch card I thought was huge.
And this is game 1 again. Vance having that turn 1 KO on Yubitol, but Sam having that Lugia V down, having the Collapse Stadium in hand, and it was all based on this Capturing Aroma. Usually you want to get heads to search for Lugia V-Star or Archeops to discard them, but when you can search for that Luminion V and be able to use that Professor Burnett to just skip the line, discard those Archeops right away.
Yeah, Professor Burnett was the MVP in both games. Sam was able to top deck Professor's Research in the second game, but Professor Burnett here gave Sam the full setup, and Vance immediately recognized his chance of winning were not very good and went ahead and conceded.
And then this game too, Sam's just showing his hand to the judge like, yeah, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
what can I do with this? And Vance going through pretty much almost the entire deck and just wasn't able to get the KO on that Tyranitar V thanks to that V-Guard energy. And had the KO on that Lugia V, but again, used the boss's orders. Got the power tablets from the prize cards, but that wasn't what really mattered. He already found a power tablet and a Forest Seal Stone. It was that boss's orders at the very top, and then of course the heads on the Mezagoza, being able to get Lugia V-Star and just open things up yet again. What a game.
Indeed. Mezagoza is a card that when you flip heads, you love it, and when you flip tails, you're like, oh my gosh, why am I playing this card anyways? It never helps me, right? I think it's easy to get biased towards certain cards, but yeah, the flippy cards went Sam's way, and if you had the other result, we could have seen an easy 0-2, right?
Yeah.
Towards Vance. So very interesting how those flips determined everything, and with coin flips, a little luck on your side, you can defeat a world champion.
And this is kind of just Lugia V-Star as a deck in general. It's very consistent as long as you get set up, and it's all about those flipping cards to try to get that set up. And fortunately, went Sam's way here in this round 5 against Vance Kelley, our world champion, taking down that Mew VMAX.
And with no boss's orders left for Vance, he ended up having to concede. He had no way to not attack with a 2-prize Pokemon. He had no way to leave a single prize Pokemon in the active and encourage Sam to attack with a 2-prize Pokemon. So just no way out. The prizes fully influencing that game as well. If the boss's orders was left with triple Ginsec, you can easily get there.
Yeah, or even if there's power tablets left in the deck, you wait for that Forest Seal Stone, draw into those cards, take the knockout with something like a Mew VMAX. Yeah. That's how Pokemon goes, and that's why we all love it, and that's why we play it, that's why we're here. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen